So I'm having a chat with Mike from Monuments. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks, Jim. How are you?
Good, not too bad. You're here at Download.
I am. It's
Actually-
amazing. 20th anniversary, my
Yeah.
third time performing here. So stoked to be back.
Yeah, looking forward to later.
Yeah, can't wait. Love this stage. Last time I watched anyone there was Sixth coming back, and I was a huge Sixth fan, but I got into them after they broke up, and I pitted harder than I've ever pitted in my life there, so memories were made in that for me.
Yeah, good. And most recently, you released an album last year. It's been a while now, but for those who haven't heard it, tell us a bit about the record.
Yeah, so In Stasis came out last year. It was a record that ended up kind of coming out conceptually from whatever the songs seemed to be written about, but it felt like it came out as a sort of a way of being stuck in between like really polarizing energies, stuck between good and evil, hate and love, something like that. But I think it just sort of, that feeling of being stuck in stasis was just us going fever crazy from COVID, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like most bands probably accidentally wrote about that, but
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's the first record that Andy was vocalist on. What was it like having him on the record, and how much of input did he have on his bit?
he was amazing to work with. We actually had a whole change of our writing process. We did 2 singles before the record, Animus and Dead Nest, and they were like old Monument songs. And then after Dead Nest, our second guitarist, Ollie, left.
Yeah.
And so then we went from having 2 guitarist writers to 1 guitarist writer. We ended up committing a lot less in demos and giving each other a lot more space to work with. And Andy was just really great, motivating, professional, but humble. He didn't mind having his vocals cut up, moved around.
Okay.
We've not always had the best at times doing that with vocalists. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that anyone says like you're wrong, I'm right, but it's more like the open-mindedness that he brought to the table really birthed a new method, which we're now developing on. And yeah, it was amazing. We've recently done another single too called Nefarious that's just come out in the last 2 weeks or so, and that's been another amazing thing where he's just we really write for the space to leave it for him, then he'll take it forward, and then it all makes sense. We can make informed decisions rather than the pressure we used to make in the past where we'd make this perfect instrumental song that is obviously just too much, and then it's really hard to turn it into a song.
And with the new single now out, is this now the start of the next phase and the next record?
It's actually not. This was just a collaboration with a YouTuber called Moist Critical. It goes by Penguins on YouTube. Massive influencer there. He's got this manga comic and anime that he's turning it into called Godslap, and we did the theme tune for that, and it's just gone absolutely haywire on the internet.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful to him and his whole team for having us on. Like, a Moist Critical Monuments mashup is just completely not something that any of us ever expected. It's not necessarily part of an album cycle because it was a single piece of music for video that we had total control over. So consider it a bonus single, something like Animus and Dead Nest. I think we really like to work out the album process through singles, and then as we start to realize this is starting to become less of one thing and more of many things, then the album will happen, and we're just going to let that process show itself to us, because then we can, if we need to tweak things, we got opportunities, and we can release single songs more frequently for a little bit. You'll know when M5's really coming though, and then it'll actually be later because we just love to tease you.
But has it started?
No.
No.
It's always started. Like, there is writing happening. There's always music, but no. In terms of like, we have our dates that we have in mind, but we just have to have a deadline in order for there to be something that ever comes out. If we start saying what that date is, it's going to be wrong pieces of information. But we're focused, we're committed. Once we've done our shows this year, I think we're going to be, in between that, we're going to be working on it, because we just love to write as well. But we'll do it online like we usually do, and maybe some of it in the room, who knows?
Yeah, good. And I had a look at your website before we had this chat, and your touring page seems to be fairly empty. So you tell me, what's your plan for this year?
Yeah, there's not so much going on in terms of festivals this year. It seems like there's been a lot of bookings that were kind of still hanging on from 2020 that pushed to 2022 and now on to 2023.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Download is always going to be an amazing one for us. We're doing a headline at Radar Festival.
Yep.
We've got a couple of others across the globe. We've got one, I think, in Porto, Portugal. The name escapes me right now, which is a mistake of mine, but here I am. There's another one in Finland, I believe. And then there's other stuff that is yet to be announced that's coming out very soon. So I think one last dance for the UK, I think, is going to happen. We're just there might be some more. We'll just see.
And you hoping to hit up Europe and States as well?
I think definitely we want to do that again. We're not sure if doing it again as a headliner on the InStasis run. We've already done that, so we don't want to overplay the same things. We've been looking for really cool support slots, of course, and there's some cool stuff to be announced there. But we will definitely make a point of only going out when it makes the most sense. As you know, touring nowadays is insanely difficult, so it would be very easy for us to tank the entire enterprise on one wrong decision. So we're very cautious about that. But when we do come, we'll make it totally worth it.
Sounds good to me. Now, you've probably toured many places, but you must want to get to some places you haven't been to before. Where do you want to get to and play?
I definitely want to experience South America. That's one for me. I've done a lot of the world, from Armenia to Australia to India. I would love to do South Africa because my family escaped at Kristallnacht in the World War II, and they then moved to Zambia, where my mum and her sisters were born, and one of my aunts still lives in South Africa, so that would be really nice to be able to witness and experience. I definitely want to do a show in Iceland. Would absolutely love that. I think those are the two main regions that I have yet to explore, but there's also areas in all over the world. It would be great to do a show in other places in the Middle East. I've done Dubai before a few times, but there's just so many places to visit. I'm always up for wherever someone wants to see me play, I'll happily go.
Yeah, good. And when it comes to writing, how does it tend to work for you guys? Who kicks things off, and how does it kick off? Is it lyrics, or is it vocals, melody, riffs? Kind of what happens, and when do you join in?
So it usually comes from one of us will create a world, and Andy will ask us to from a riff, like, I think this might be that, but just make it a structure. Don't make it the final structure. Just make it make sense. Have it beginning, middle, end. Have energy, and then let me bring stuff into it, and let's see what happens there. So that could come from Brown or myself. There was one song, and only one song on the last record, Somnus, which I brought in, and the rest of it was all from initial Brown ideas. And then we would trade ideas around. I might write like an alternative riff or change up the drum parts, and every time we would tweak it, even if we were going in the wrong direction, we knew what the right direction was. It's kind of like you don't know where the right way is until you know what the wrong way is. And I think that's the same for any creative process when you're creating a graphic for your business, when you're creating a website, when you're just making a Facebook post. You don't know what the right kind of thing is until you've done it wrong, and then you're like, oh, now I can see the right one. So never be afraid to make a step in the wrong direction, because at least it is always a step in the right direction as long as you're paying attention.
In the end, yeah, absolutely. Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Yeah, Jim, it's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Cheers, thanks.
Cheers.